So various way to realize the truth or Dharma. This is based on arising, and he discovered that thing follow this 12 links of ignorance become mental impulse, tainted your mind, mental consciousness. You generate imagination, nama rupa. It taints your sixth sense sphere, eye, ears, nose, body, and mind. So contact, feeling, become corrupted, end up with craving, clinging, becoming your thought, goes into your thoughts, aging, ripening with your thoughts, and you suffer with grief, despair. When you're unaware like this, that's how your ego is born, through that self-concept. But when you're aware, you can get rid of it. See the true nature of thing. These are just thoughts of small world that happen in your mind all the time. You see it's selfless, not self in nature, end up with Nirvana. And this has been proven in 2020 functional MRI scan that we have 6,200, over 6,000 thought worms on a daily basis. So we're trapped in these thoughts all the time. And what the other thing that the Buddha attained enlightenment upon is Nirvana. He broke through the cycle of the 12 linking chain. See the ultimate nature of this mind is basically encountered is Nirvana, which he stated is this state does exist. This status does exist. It's not the form realm, not earth, wind, water, and fire. It's not a formless realm. It's not like the boundless space, not boundless consciousness, not nothingness, and not neither perception nor non-perception. And it's not this realm or next realm or the sun or the moon that we living in. It's not the sensual desire realm. So he denied the three realms that people are born into: sensual desire realm, form divine realm, and formless divine realm. So it's not that. It doesn't exist in Nirvana, these three realms. He doesn't call that as Nirvana. And that status is not coming or going. It's not sustaining. No birth, no death in such status. And there's no location for such status. It's not ongoing. And it's not a phenomenon. So basically, he said that status exists. It's called Nirvana. And that's the state that is the end of suffering in that Nirvana. And this, anything that would fit with that would be, only thing that fit with it would be the background of the universe, because it's fully formed, always there, no coming or going, no sustaining, no birth or death in there. It's there in perfection, allowing the universe to keep expanding. So when the pure mind merged with the background of the universe, become one, is called Nirvana. That's what equate to that status. So the Buddha, after he attained enlightenment, he thought that would be a little bit tough for people to digest. So he summed it up, summarized it as a Four Ultimate Truth or Four Noble Truth, which is kind of summarize the arising pathway of dependent arising and the receding pathway or cessation pathway of the dependent arising, which is exemplified form. So it's summed up as a Four Noble Truth. Suffering, cause of suffering, end of suffering, and middle path to end suffering. And basically they are cause and effect as well. The second Noble Truth is the cause of the first Noble Truth, and the fourth Noble Truth is the cause of the third Noble Truth. So suffering, in short, is to be comprehend. Cause of suffering is to be eradicate. So basically, when the mind reaching outward with sensual desire, liking or disliking, that become the cause of suffering, which need to be eradicated. And the consequence, otherwise you end up with suffering, with the result of the mind reaching outward, with craving and clinging as in the self, to the self-concept. It need to be comprehended, to acknowledge the problem, so that way you can solve by eradicating the cause. And how do you get rid of it? It's through cultivating the middle path, or noble eightfold path need to be developed. And that way you can end the suffering called Nirvana or Nirodha, is to be realized. So when your mind, seeing your mind clearly, with mindful awareness, you see the mind clearly, that things are impermanent, imperfect, and selfless in nature. You develop the middle path, and you end up with clearing your mind, seeing mind clearly as a result, back to the norm of the mind, equanimous mind, and you reach Nirvana, ultimate peace and happiness. So basically, they're the four truth of life, ultimate truth of life. Like the first noble truth is suffering is to be comprehended, like a diagnosis of the problem. Like patient come in with headache, stomach ache or something, that's the symptoms that you make the diagnosis. Oh, you got appendicitis or something like that. Just a symptom that you find a cause. Cause is a craving, need to be eradicated. And so the Buddha was give a simile to a doctor that prescribed when he diagnosed him. He saw the symptoms, and he make a diagnosis, the cause of such symptoms coming from this and that, from craving, resulting in that suffering. And he prescribed a prescription, which is the middle path, to cure the illness or suffering, to end up with Nirvana, ultimate peace and happiness. So that's why he was given a simile as a physician, a doctor. So the middle path is what? It's basically threefold training of morality, concentration, and wisdom. Wisdom is basically the right view and right thoughts. And morality is right speech, right action, right livelihood. And mental concentration is right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. So in the social system, it's the threefold training. Start with morality, progress to mental concentration by meditation to develop your mind, and gain insight, wisdom, see the true nature of things as really are. And then your mind gets smarter and get disenchanted, discern, and it just liberate to insight wisdom. And in the practical aspect, it starts with wisdom, with the right view, right thoughts. Start with that, and also complement with morality, right speech, right action, right livelihood, along with mental concentration, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. So you need all the 8 spokes of the wheel. Otherwise, the wheel collapses. The middle path won't progress. So you need all 8 spokes of the wheel. This is called the Fourth Noble Truth, that he prescribed it in the first sermon called Dhammacakkappavattana Sutra, setting Dhamma wheel in motion. And after he gave the first sermon, one of the 5 first disciples attained enlightenment as a stream enterer, first level of enlightenment. So the middle path basically start with avoid the 2 extreme of sensual indulgence and self-mortification. The Buddha lived in a luxurious life as crown prince for 29 years. And then he tried a self-mortification for the next 6 years, from 29 years old to 35 years old. Finally attained enlightenment when he gave away those 2 extremes. Gave up the 2 extremes, just follow the middle path, which is basically denying eternalism and nihilism. Eternalism, like it have a permanent soul, which Buddha see is no true permanent soul. It's just a phantom ego that your mind generates. Self-image, hologram, or self-concept, which is not truly existing. It just temporarily arises when your mind interacts with the environment. When you expose to sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, and thought. And he denied nihilism. That's nothingness. It's just emptiness, not nothingness. Just like you empty a glass of water, you can't say there's nothing inside. It's empty, it's void inside, but it's not nothing. There's still air, space in there. And denied idealism, or the mind is the supreme in there, or materialism, or material is supreme. Also liking and disliking, which make you trapped as a driving force to please your phantom ego. So everything arises and ceases because of this dependent arising of your ignorance, leading to biased thoughts, and your birth into that thoughts, aging, ripening of your thoughts. If you didn't get what you want, you suffer. Or got what you don't want, you suffer. And this cause and effect. Thing doesn't exist by itself. Like I mentioned, the Four Noble Truths. The second Noble Truth is the cause of the first Noble Truth. Same thing with the Cessation pathway. Fourth Noble Truth is the cause of the third Noble Truth. Middle path leading to Nirodha or Nirvana. So they are interdependent. And everything in the universe follows the 3 universal marks of impermanence, imperfection, and not self in nature. Nothing worth clinging to. Every time you cling to it, become your own burden. And because of different temperaments in people, which have the effect mostly in the concentrated mind, like people categorized in these 6 temperaments. Rakachita, Rakacharita is greedy nature, tends towards sensual indulgence without shame. A recommended practice is reflection upon the loathsome Vasupa and the 32 bodily parts or kaya katasati to counter passion, freeing you from the clinging to it. The second nature is dosa charit. That means the hateful nature. Easily anger, quick to aversion, this group of people. So recommended practice is the 4 Brahmavihara of loving kindness, compassion, empathic joy, and equanimity. And the color kasina, like you meditate on color disc, green, red, or yellow, and so on, or white, to cultivate serenity, to calm down this hateful mind, hateful nature. Third group is moha charit, or dull or confused nature, the dull-minded, distracted, and prone to rumination. Recommended practice is the anapanasati, or mindfulness of breathing, to calm restlessness and focus the mind. Fourth group of people are sattvacharit, faithful nature, strongly devoted to the triple gem, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, the triple gem. So recommended practice is to recollection of the triple gem, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, recollection of the precepts, like no killing, no stealing, no sexual misconduct, no lying, no intoxicant. And devas, people who are good, like the King Rama the Knight, or people who are venerate monks, or they're like devas to other people, to strengthen and direct faith. And then another group of people, buddhicharit, or intelligent nature, where reason bears, skeptical, analytical, always question. Recommended practices: marananasti, mindfulness of death; upasamanyanasti, or mindfulness of nirvana, and other deep meditative subjects to develop wisdom. And then vittakacharita, ruminative, ruminative, speculative nature, tends to overthink without action. So you keep thinking all day long and no drive to do anything. Vittaka, always worrying. Recommended practice is anapanasati, mindfulness of breathing, and kasina, like elements like earth, wind, water, and fire, and immaterial meditation to focus attention and reduce speculation. So because of various natures of people, the Buddha try to attack the problem at different angle. From the center of the dependent arising, you can see like the color coded, like the green, 5 aggregates of clinging as self, as suffering. That's the first noble truth. Seeing like form, a body, including your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. Feeling, perception, thought formation, and consciousness. That's the 5 aggregates. That's the first noble truth. People can see it through breaking down in the life form. You see, like the composite of these 5 group of existence of 5 aggregates of form, feeling, perception, thought formations. And ignorance start with sensual desire, liking or disliking, or greed-headed delusion, and so on, and as in blue color. And the redness is the 4 foundations of mindfulness. It's the antidote that you practice to see the true nature of this composite of 5 aggregates of clinging, and see those italic nature or 3 universal marks of impermanence, imperfection, and not self or selfless in nature, or the 4 elements of this body, earth, wind, water, and fire, combined with space and consciousness, make 6 elements, as in the purple. So you can attack to those the green italic fonts that are your nose, tongue, body, and mind, the 6 sense spheres. So you can come to see and break this cycle of dependent arising, can break the chain of 12 linking chain. You can come to observe the Four Ultimate Truths about suffering, cause of suffering, end of suffering, and middle path to end suffering. That's in the purple on the top left. And the absolute reality of the true nature of things in Paramatta Satya of form, feel, of mind, chit, cetasika, rupa, and nirvana. Form, mental activities, mind, and nirvana, the four ultimate reality. So in terms of suffering, which is the end of this 12 linking chain, people are already people hit with two arrows. The worldly hit with first arrow, which is natural pain, or sabhava, or physical dukkha, sabhava dukkha, or kājika dukkha. Aging, sickness, and death, a natural phenomenon that we all face. As well as second arrow, which is mental suffering, cetasika dukkha. Mental activities, depart from your loved one, didn't get what you want, or got what you don't want. So that's called cetasika dukkha. It's self-inflicted. So you hit with both arrows, physical and mental suffering. That's the first noble truth, physical and mental aspect. But enlightened ones also with the first arrow, sabhava dukkha, he cannot escape aging, sickness, and death because he's born into it already. But he can escape the second arrow. He was hit with the second arrow too, but missed because he saw it's a mental suffering, self-inflicted, so he didn't need to come to get the second arrow. Not hit with the second arrow, no mental suffering, no cetasika dukkha. As he catching his own thoughts. This is from Salatta Sutra. So a person, as mentioned, a combination of a composite of these five aggregates, five group of existence, body and form, including sight, tang body and mind, feeling, perception, thought formation, and consciousness. Make a composite, a life form. But in reality, they're unstable, unbearable, uncontrollable. They're coming and going, gone. But it make a self-image hologram, self-concept. In fact, there's five aggregates of clinging as self, as suffering, of form, feeling, perception, thought formation, consciousness. Consciousness doesn't have form, it's formless. But leave a trace, or you can track them down through feeling, perception, thought formation, which is mental activities. You can track them down. Mental activities. You can come to see the self-image hologram, self-concept that your mind generates through your thoughts, but not truly existing. As mentioned in the first noble truth, say to be born is suffering, to age is suffering, to die is suffering. Physical and mental ailment is suffering. Sorrow, lamentation, grief, despair, suffering. Depart from the loved one, suffering. Didn't get what you want is suffering. Got what one doesn't want is suffering. In short, he said, the five aggregates of clinging are suffering because you cling itself. Even when you cling to each one of the five aggregates are suffering. That's the first noble truth. So the three universal mile of existence hidden in this, the first sentence about five aggregates of clinging are suffering. Clinging itself, because there's no true permanent self. But impermanence, imperfection, and not self in nature, selfless in nature. It's over 100 years. They haven't found any true permanent self there. There's no true permanent self entity. No beings, no person, no self, no you, no me. It's all supposition. Been over 100 years of searching. Neuroscientists haven't found any place in the brain where this self is located, because it's generated through your thoughts in your mind. When you talk about thoughts is basically the space and time. You remember what happened years ago, and things happen again. You recognize that's the problem. So space-time come into as thoughts, make you recollect some bad experience and so on. And thought and concept always deal with time, kala, and space and tesa. They're not pure perception, not sanya parisuddhi, nor true direct experiencing savasang vedana. It's not mindful awareness, not sati sampachanya, but being conditioned by one's own bias perception, sanya chetana. You're in the conceptual or virtual phenomenon, not in the ultimate reality. So you're in the virtual world. And that's why Luang Por Tien and Luang Por Dun say one suffer one's own thoughts. And the Buddha said, past is gone and future hasn't arrived yet. Why worry about it? You need your mind to be in the present, but also not clinging to the present, because the present is keep on moving. So avijja, ignorance, the first in the linking chain, basically talk about not knowing the Four Noble Truths of suffering, cause of suffering, end of suffering, and middle path to end suffering. Also, you trap in the thought of the past and trap in the thought of the future, daydreaming in the future, and not knowing that you trap in the thought of the past and run into the stream of thought into the future. It's like a length of a stream of long thoughts from the past into the future. You trap in there for weeks sometimes until you realize it's but the thoughts, then you come out of it. And the last one, you're not seeing the present as a dependent arising, that it followed the law of causation, that 12 linking chain I showed you earlier. So one can break through a cycle when you catch your thoughts and see your thought coming as a cause to come up that generate the nama rupa, your imagination and so on. That's what the Buddha saw at the night of his enlightenment. He saw his craving, tanha, as house builder of thought conditioning. He saw his own self-concept, self-image, hologram. And he said, threw around, so he get rid of it. He told it that self-image, hologram, that through around many births I roam, without reward, without rest, seeking the house builder, which is the tanha, the craving. Painful is birth again and again. House builder, have found you. You shall build no more houses. All your rafter broken, the rich pole destroyed, gone to the unconditioned, the mind. So his mind reached the unconditioned, which is another name of Nirvana. You cannot attain that mind again, the state of Nirvana. I show you on the third slide there. Has come to the end of suffering, of craving. No more craving, no more suffering. No more cause of craving is the cause of suffering. So no more craving, no more suffering, because when you get rid of the cause of suffering, there's no suffering. This is Dhammapada 11. when your mind, seeing your mind clearly. That's what happens. Cannot fool that mind. So cause of suffering from craving is based on the six sense sphere interact with sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, thoughts. It activates transient arising and ceasing of eye consciousness when you see sight, ear consciousness when you hear sound, nasal consciousness, tongue consciousness, body consciousness, mental consciousness. When it's activated through the each sense spheres, specific consciousness arise and cease. It results from contact, feeling, or Vedana. It's a fruition, it's fixed. You can't do anything except going through a pathway, perception, sanya. Then you have, when you lack of mindful awareness, become biased perception, sanya chetana. So I end up with craving, tanha, vitaka, disturbing thoughts, and obsessive thought, which are, so we end up generating a self-image hologram based on this sensual desire, liking and disliking, or existent or non-existent. It's craving based on the sensual desire, liking and disliking. So that's why you suffer out of one's own mind biased thoughts, tainted with this greed-headed delusion, as sneaky thoughts, and generate this self-image hologram. But the true nature of the mind is luminous, tainted with transitory mental impurities. Transitory, that means it's not the true nature of it. It home in when you invite it in, whether you invite it or not. It home in and never leave you. It's no more transitory. It home in. So unless you see it, you can get rid of it. So we end up with craving, sensual desire, liking and disliking, like a second noble truth. So we end up with burden yourself, self-created burden from being enslaved by your own biased thoughts, tainted with greed-headed delusion of your own ignorance. So we end up with a clinging to the worldly phenomenon, positive and negative. You like more of the positive, liking, disliking, the negative. Fortune, misfortune, fame, obscurity, promotion or demotion, praise and gossips, happiness and unhappiness. So there are four pairs of the worldly phenomena. Everyone thrive on this. They're but conceptual perception. You try to get reward and get rid of things that irk you. So that's one way to get rid of it. The other way to see it is through six sense sphere, six sense organ, eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. You come interact with the environment through your eyes, see sight, ear, hear sounds, nose the smell, tongue with the taste, body, physical contact, and mind with your thoughts. Interact with the six sense spheres. Five of them is the physical aspect, the external five sense spheres, or five sensual desire, kama kunha, eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, or the internal sphere, the mental aspect, or panchatwaran, vachanachit, and then and the mind is manotwaran, vachanachit. It has specific pathway or sense organ, like anatomically, it's in work out, the eye seeing through your eyes, you see sight, you have optic nerve, optic chiasma, and optic radiation, and then to the visual cortex in the back of your head there. It crisscross half of them. So a specific pathway for your ears and nose is that specific organ. it activates the mental consciousness there from a repository or resting mind or alaya vinyana or vinyana klung or bhavanga citta. It activates the resting mind. It activates into panchatwara vachana citta, into eye consciousness when you see sight, ear consciousness when you hear sound, nasal consciousness with the smell, tongue consciousness with the taste, and so on. Body consciousness through the five sense sphere. And then manotwara vachana citta is the mental consciousness through the thoughts, the mind, interact with the thoughts. So become activated mind, viti citta, interactive mind, and become 18 elements. And then when you die, it retrieve into these atomic spheres. It's imprinted in the space between those organs. It didn't, whatever you did in the past, it retrieved at the moment of death into these atomic spheres and implant you the next life because you still have this phantom ego embedded there with craving and your karma that you committed to these five, six sense spheres. So the Buddha taught this person Paya in the Paya Sutra. Paya, you should learn to understand as follows. To see, just see. To hear, just hear. To perceive, just perceive in what you come in contact through your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. As sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, and thoughts. See it unbiasedly. To realize, just realize that it's just contact, nothing more, nothing less. Paya, you should learn to understand as such. And he reiterates, Paya, whenever you see, just see. Hear, just hear. Perceive, just perceive. Or realize, just realize. At such moment, the so-called you will no longer exist. That's the fourth noble truth that he already practiced through listening to. Whenever there is no you, at such moment, you will neither exist in this realm, next realm, nor between those realms. So there's no more self, no ego, no atta, no self-image hologram. So the shell of that atomic sphere was broken. And he concluded, that's the end of suffering. And Paya completely understood it. And he attained full enlightenment in front of Buddha with the shortest teaching in the history of Buddhism. That's the third noble truth, Nirodha or Nirvana. He got rid of that self-concept. And that's how it works. Through these four foundations of mindfulness, Buddha described how it worked through sixth sense door, have the corresponding consciousness contact, feeling, perception. But it didn't stop there. It had biased perception. Craving, follow, and you end up with disturbing thought, obsessive thoughts. Scientifically, it has been worked out similarly, that you perceive things through your eye, your nose, tongue, body, and mind, so on. You end up with the eye tag, or self-image hologram, which is the biased perception. That's a feedback loop on the diagram on the lower left. The feedback loop is 5 times stronger than the incoming loop. So you generate the bias, your ego, phantom ego, with the eye tag. And Professor Damasio said, in parallel with generate mental patterns for an object, the brain also generates sense of self in the act of knowing. But the Buddha said it's not parallel, it's sequential, as you see on the right side. Pure perception become biased perception. But if you and become craving, that's the second noble truth, sensual desire, liking, disliking. But if you have mindful awareness that you practice, it will stop you there. So end up with pure perception without biased perception. That's the third noble truth. Like Paya did, pure perception. And perceive it with perceptual processing, with pure sanya parisati, active and neutral, with pure mind. Not become conceptual processing, that's too late. Sanya chetana, settle it. That generates self-concept. It's passive and biased, sankhara. So you can stop it there by doing that. So the Buddha stated contact is the source of karma. Like you expose yourself to the thorn or heat, like a fire, a thorn from this plant, succulent plant, end up with noxious stimuli. You got a reflex, you move away. You also register it through your brain there. You know it's harmful, noxious stimuli. Same thing with soft touch, but it's a bottom-up process. From the touch, register in your brain when you're mindful at the insula like in the temporal area there underneath the temporal parietal lobe junction. It has a insula which is deal with self-awareness and mindfulness. It will stop you there at just a touch. But if you're down regulating, you not have less self-awareness, it registers as a soft touch, lovely touch. You fawn of it. You have the emotional desire into it, register in the amygdala, which deal with emotional memory. So it becomes craving and clinging and so on. Not a pure contact anymore. That's what they say. The Buddha said, intention or volition is karma, which is action. That's what the Buddha said. I declare volition is karma. The Buddha. So it's all rooted in the mind and your intention. Has become perceptual processing, become conceptual processing. Like from the 18 element I showed you earlier, from the sight of a flowers, a lotus, register to your the visual, your eyes, sense spheres up to your eyes, Chakutwara Vachanachit, Chakutwara. So you see it upside down on your retina, in the back of your eyeball. It went through the optic tract, optic chiasma, and went to optic tract, some crisscross. It registers in the back of your brain through visual cortex, visual center. It's been worked out like Atita Pawanga, when you abandon the last mental object, when you see the flowers, abandon the last, and register with the Pawanga Chalana is stopped by, but prompted by this, seeing the lotus flower. Panku Pacheta, it got arrest, Bhavanka. Your mind got arrest into the flowers. And Jakku Tawan Vachanachita, it went through the pathway of the eye, optic tract, and registered in the back part of your brain, occipital lobe. This is called, this is PET CT scan. It's showing the register in the back of your brain, occipital visual cortex there, occipital cortex, and it's called Jakku Vinyan Chit, Jakku Vinyana Chitta. So the specific consciousness come out to perceive it, and then it convey into the middle temporal gyrus, the superior temporal gyrus. rather. It conveying to superior temporal gyrus, called Sampati Chanachit. It's conveying there. And then it gives the investigating called Santiranachita, with the shape, motion, and color, Santiranachita. And then it investigate and it gives the determining Votapanachita. It gives the value. So this is all perceptual, no action yet. Until once you give the value, it becomes Chavanachita, impulsion. You indulge in it, impulsion consciousness, for 7 mental moment, very fast. And then register Tatalampanachita, two mental moments. So register, once you determine, you have impulsion, it activates the middle temporal gyrus and inferior temporal gyrus, as well as the frontal lobe in the far left lower there. So you complete the whole 17 steps of mental cycle, thought process, mental 17 steps of vitijita. And you commit karma there. You have volition, intention to get more, these cookies or whatever, or it's a soft touch and so on. The action from that intention. That's how you commit karma. Volition is karma, that's what the Buddha said. So you pass the pure perception into the perceptual processing, become conceptual processing, and commit karma, either to your mind, your speech, or your action. You're committing your thought at least. And then, next thing you approach for another cookies and so on. So that's why you need a reverse engineering technique to catch the thought as it arises. That's what we just did for Foundations of Mindfulness. And the life form is a person, consists of a 5 group of existence form, including your body and your sense organ, eye, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. Feeling, perception, thought formation, consciousness. The 5 aggregates that in the first noble of clinging as self, as suffering. So we meditate form on the body, feeling, you meditate on feeling, with pure perception, with mindfulness, self-awareness. Mental phenomena, you meditate on thought formation, to see thought formation. And consciousness, you meditate on the mind, because consciousness is formless. You just observe through mental activities, obviously. To get rid of desirable and undesirable nature that arise at the body, feeling, mind, mental phenomena, that you try to please one's phantom ego. When you get rid of desirable and undesirable nature, there's no more driving force to commit karma, because there's no intention, no action, therefore no action as a consequence. So later on, after the Buddha passed, there's been description in the Visuddhimagga. It's been written by Buddhaghosa 1,000 years later, I think. So it's a 7th aspect. It's basically it's the expansion of middle path, morality, mental concentration, and wisdom, sila, samadhi, and panya. 7 visuddhi. First one, sila visuddhi, about morality, right speech, right action, right livelihood, deal with morality. The second is Citta Visuddhi, deal with the mind, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration, deal with mental concentration, samadhi. And the third one, Titti Visuddhi, right view, distinguish mental and physical states. And Kankha Vitarana Visuddhi, overcoming doubt through right view, see cause and effect clearly. This deal with wisdom from the third down. And the fifth Visuddhi is Makka Makka Jhana Tassana Visuddhi. Path or no path, you know how to differentiate with right view, right effort. And the sixth is Patipata Jnana Tassana Visuddhi, progress of insight, right mindfulness, and right effort. So that deal with wisdom. And then the seventh one, Jnana Tassana Visuddhi, knowledge and vision, cultivation in path and fruition. It's also been described in a different format called 16 Vipassana Jnana, insight, knowledge. I'll go through that. First and second jhana deal with equal to Visuddhi 3 and 4 in the white and the light green fonts or white fonts. And the stage 3 is comprehension, is the Visuddhi 5th one on this. And the 4 to 11, arising and passing, and equanimity is Visuddhi, the 6th Visuddhi. And stage 12 to 16, conformity and reviewing, is Visuddhi 7. So we'll go through that briefly. So this has been described in Abhidharma 16, insight with knowledge. It's written down, I think it probably came 100 years after Buddha passed away, but it's been written down 235 years after he passed away. So in the Tipitaka, Abhidharma exists there when Brahmokala Tisatera had the third council and described his 16 steps. Let's go through it briefly. First two is deal with knowledge and distinguish. You can't read that, I'm sure. Mental and physical states. Namarupa Paricheda Jnana is equal to Visuddhi 3 and 4. Because the first two are like morality and mental concentration. It didn't deal with the wisdom. So this deal with the third, start with the Visuddhi 3rd and 4th. And knowledge, second one, knowledge and the cause and effect relationship between mental and physical states. But Pachayaya Parikaha Jnana. Pachaya Parikaha Jnana equal to Visuddhi 3 and 4. And then the third knowledge is of mental and physical process as follow the three universal impermanence, imperfection, and not self. Sammasana jhana. He deal with impermanence, and so is the fourth and fifth deal with impermanence. The fourth one is knowledge of arising and passing away. Uttapaya jhana, with nupassana jhana, impermanence, equal to Visuddhi 6. From the Uttapayana jhana into the Pankajana. On the fifth one, knowledge of dissolution of formation, deal with impermanence, and then go on to the sixth one on the knowledge of the fearful nature of mental and physical Once you see it's the resolution, you become fearful nature, mental, physical state, Bangayana, deal with imperfection. And then the 7-1, mental, physical state of unsatisfactory, Atinava jhana, Nupassana jhana. And then the 8-1, deal with knowledge of disenchantment, Nibbita jhana, deal with imperfection too. And then the 9-1, the desire to abandon the worldly state, Manchitu Kamajana, Muchitu Kamajatayana, not self, saying not self, or selfless in nature. And then number 10, knowledge of investigating the path to deliverance and instill a decision to practice further, Patisankhara jhana, and then deal with not self. And then the 11, knowledge with regard mental and physical states with equanimity, Sankharubhekha jhana. So you see that you become unbiased to the thoughts, become neutral, but the Sankharubhekha jhana. And then the 13 is become knowledge of, number 12 first. Number 12 is knowledge which conform to the Four Noble Truths, Anulomayana, equal Visuddhi, the 6th one, a higher knowledge. And number 13, knowledge of deliverance from worldly condition, Kotrapuya. That's become a cross from the mundane to supramundane, Lokutra. And the 14 and 15, knowledge in which defilements are abandoned and are overcome by destruction, Makayana and Polayana, the next one. As for stream enterer, once returner, non-returner, and the Arahant can see this. From mundane, become seeing they cross into the supramundane here. And 16 is knowledge which refer that which review the defilements still remaining. Paccivekkhana jhana, that means you have check and balance to see what is left. For the Arahant, there's nothing left. He attained full enlightenment and reached Nirvana. But for the once stream enterer, once returner, non-returner, you can see that still some more work to be to work with, to abandon his leftover defilements. So basically, the only 14 and 15 are super mundane. The rest are mundane from the 1 to 16, except the 14 and 15. Because the stream enterer, once returner and non-returner, and the Arahant, they witness the true purity of Nirvana. But even though they haven't reached that level, except the Arahant, they reach Nirvana. Okay. So this is just to show you it equate the two systems, the jhana and the visuddhi together, and which state equate to which, just to reiterate. So basically, the practice is to see Paramattha Dharma, the Four Ultimate Reality, Cetasic, Rupa, and Nirvana, mind, mental activities, form, and Nirvana. ordinary people can only witness the first three. Nirvana only witnessed by the full enlightenment, the Arahant. And we practice 4 foundations of mindfulness. And to come to see this ultimate reality, or sometimes this is called Paramatta Satya, Paramatta Dharma, sometimes referred as Sabhava Dharma, natural phenomena, which consists of body and mind has mind mental activities. So body and mind is it's like a boat that carries you over the samsara to the other shore, to a nirvana. So normally we see form, but not much of the mind, which is the key. It's like the iceberg. Majority is underneath the water. So you need to cultivate your mind, mindfulness, self-awareness, to clear your mind. So the 5 aggregates we talk about: form, feeling, perception, thought, formation, and consciousness. When we practice the 4 foundations to see the true nature of your body, of person, of being, or self, is a combination of these 5 aggregates. You practice observing your body, feeling, mind, mental phenomena, the 4 foundations, with pure perception, with mindful awareness. And you come to realize the truth and see these mental activities, which are all but mundane, this body and mind and mental activities. And the truth of suffering, a first noble truth, the 5 aggregates of clinging are suffering as self. The 5 aggregates itself, when you cling it to any one of them, is suffering already, because they're impermanence, imperfect, and selfless, and not self in nature. So you see it with pure perception. And when you realize the truth, you come to the supramundane. From the stream entry on, you can see the supramundane, beyond the mundane, like we all see. And you come to the unconditioned, or nirvana. Only the Arahants see that, the full enlightenment. When you come to witness the true nature of this Abhava Dharma, they follow the 3 universal marks: impermanence, imperfection, and not self. But in nirvana, only one nature left: not self, anatta. Still remain the not self, but they're permanent and perfect in that there's no coming, going, no sustaining, no birth or death. No, that's what happened. So this is what Buddhism is all about. And we showed this last time. Buddha called this teaching Dharma, the truth, the natural law of brahmacharya, the holy, pure life, awakened way of life. Aryamak, noble truth, middle path. Buddha Sasana, Buddha's dispensation. Dhamma Vinaya, the truth and this discipline. So Buddhism didn't fit the definition of religion in the Western world, which dominated by the Christianity then, on a Catholic, because we have no creator. Definition of religion then, as you have a creator, we don't have creator, but we have law of causation as the cause of suffering. It's self-created too as well. But so a Catholic world say, how can we define them? There are lots of millions, hundreds and millions of people who belong to other sects of other practice. So we come up with Vatican II, which summarized in 1965 that the description of other religion, that they have teaching and followers. So Buddhism then can fit into it. Otherwise, I don't know how to put us into category. So we become religion since 1965, according to the Vatican II. But it doesn't matter with us. Buddha called Buddha Sasana. It's the Buddha's dispensation, Dhamma Vinaya eradicate. So Buddhism is the awakened way of life. It's not philosophy that deal with logic and so on. Buddhism is a science, especially of the mind, requiring Dharma investigation, seeing the true nature of things, like a three universal mark of existence. Self-proven is the nature of Dharma. Liberation is required. So enlightenment, true enlightenment, is timeless and deal with cause and effect. So it's very scientific in that way, not a blind belief. Just to sum up, is the Buddha described this in Kalama Sutra. So don't believe in the external information, like this is mere report, a tradition, hearsay, or holy scripture. So external information. Or internal bias, you think this is logical, philosophical, common sense, or met with your own idea. So then it's correct. It's not true. It can be wrong there. Don't believe that. Or because of the person is a respectable person, he's a Nobel laureate, we should believe him. No, it's nonsense. Because he's my teacher, so he also make himself salvageable by saying so. So what to believe? Left to be really. Say, if it's harmful to others and oneself and condemned by the wise, then it's not the path. But if it's beneficial to others and oneself and praised by the wise, then it's the path. So that's Buddhism is all about. Okay? Sorry, take a little longer.